Bond. James Bond. Well, James Bond is quite a character, wouldn't you say?
I'd say so.
He's been through many different interpretations, both in film and in literary format as well. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people know him for his cheesy nature, or the campy nature of some of his films.
Yep.
The ridiculous gadgets that he uses sometimes.
Oh, I love the gadgets so
yeah,
much.
Yeah, the gadgets were always fun.
Man.
But always one thing that drew me to James Bond was just the suave nature and his attitude, because he knew what he was doing and he knew he could get away with it because he's James Bond. And that's
all right.
That suave attitude, and also the fact that he was a good guy. He didn't necessarily have to follow the rules, but as long as the job was done, you had him go 007.
Yeah, and it's just like...
and he's just like, what? The world is saved. What more do you want?
Yeah, and it's just like, now I'm going to go have my cheesy one-liner over, implied sex.
Yes, didn't know that.
I've
never had Christmas in Turkey.
I believe he's re-entering. Just really crap lines like that. And you're just like, come on, guys.
Dude.
Come on. That...
Yeah. And, A View to Kill. How dare you waste Christopher Walken?
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
As you might have guessed from the title, it's
yes.
Yeah, that didn't go so well, and I apologize, Internet. So James Bond versus Austin Powers.
Yeah, baby. Oh, God. I just had a flashback to an old commercial. An old commercial that was in my hometown. There was a place in my hometown called Video World. They were arguably one of the most popular. This shows you how old I am. It was one of the most popular video rental places in my hometown.
Yeah, so sort of a Blockbuster type thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, almost. Nowhere near as much of a selection, but
no, that's fair.
But anyway, they had a commercial. If Austin Powers, instead of looking like Mike Myers, looked like John Wayne Gacy without the makeup, and had the worst British accent I've ever heard. This guy butchered the accent worse than Mussolini butchered the Italians. This guy destroyed the English accent worse than Hitler destroyed Stalingrad.
Mother of God.
Holy crap. It was horrible. He was just like, the narrator there is just like, the best new movies are the best new movies readily available, and he comes in, he's like, we got them, baby. And I'm like,
no.
I swear to God, this guy did not have a top lip. It looked like he looked like Fire Marshal, like a fat Fire Marshal Bill with like an ugly, creepy Uncle Porno stash. I was just like, oh my gosh. Oh yeah, and the big rim glasses like Austin Powers has. Oh my gosh.
That's highly unfortunate.
And Video World did not survive much longer after that.
Yeah, I dare say that commercial probably killed it because everyone
started going to Superstar Video. Because I think they were afraid they were going to run into that guy in there.
I would be. It's like, no.
We got him, babe.
No, stop doing that.
Okay.
For the sake of the internet, stop doing that. Let that die.
I'm sorry. If I could talk to one of the local news affiliates and I could find that, I would play it just to show you how horrible it is.
Please, no. All right. Okay. Enough.
Yeah.
Enough about. All right. James Bond versus Austin Powers. All right. Yeah. So, from the thumbnail, it looks like they're intending this to be the Daniel Craig James Bond.
Yeah, that's the look, and because the guy has the same facial structure, nearly as Daniel Craig. And
although, to be fair, from the thumbnail, I probably would have pegged him more as Jaws than James Bond.
How do you get that?
I don't know. Something about his facial structure just looked more like facial structure and what I could see
he looked like
of
Richard Kiel?
Like facial structure and what I could see of the outfit, I was like, That looks more like Jaws.
Oh, yeah, he didn't have the tuxedo jacket.
Yeah, he had on like the. I don't know.
He had on like the suspender, like almost the suspend, like the one guy from the Bruce Lee movie, the Russian guy that he fought. Like, he had the suspenders and he flicked them.
Yeah.
Whenever he was ready to start fighting.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. That's just something that popped into my head, and I was okay.
Okay, so
but
Austin.
All right.
Okay, so Austin Powers, portrayed originally by Mike Myers, and this is portrayed by Nice Peter from the looks of it of the thumbnail.
All right,
and
so
go ahead.
I don't know. Making this pick feels weird because I have a gut reaction, and looking back on it, it's like, is that true, or is it just because I really like one of these characters more than I like the other?
Well, for me, I'm going to judge it on who I think will have the best ammunition.
Yeah, and I think,
I think in terms of, it's going to be suave against goofball.
Yeah.
That's what I get from this. Because Mike Myers as Austin Powers was a pure goofball. And the Austin Powers movies have lost a little bit of their allure with time, but when they first came out, they took over the world.
Yeah, they really did.
They
really did.
I never would have predicted they would have been that funny. But over time, they've kind of lost their allure. And much like Mike Myers, they've almost fallen into obscurity in some ways.
Yeah, a little bit.
But James Bond, I mean, here recently, the Bond films have been making $1 billion for each film, almost.
James Bond, like they basically killed Bond. And then they decided, you know what? Let's step back. Let's try this again.
Oh, yeah, you mean they killed Bond with Die Another Day.
Yeah. I mean, okay, look, I love... like
Pierce
crazy,
Brosnan.
I love crazy Bond gadgets.
Yeah,
invisible car. I was like, no, I can't. I can't do this anymore. Yeah, this is dumb. No.
Okay.
And that movie was just.
I get that. Well, for me, the pacing of the film kind of threw me off.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I liked Halle Berry as the Bond woman. I liked both her and Rosamund Pike. Rosamund Pike, I think both of them matched really well.
They were all right, yeah.
And Pierce Brosnan, I loved him in GoldenEye. GoldenEye is probably my favorite. My favorite Pierce Brosnan.
There
Bond
are
movie.
a lot of good moments in GoldenEye.
Yeah, there are, and then they restarted with Daniel Craig. They literally rebooted the franchise.
Yeah, I mean that was the beginning.
Yeah, and also they made Bond blonde.
Yeah, but they also made Bond way less campy.
They did.
Which
they entrenched him in a more realistic setting in terms of the modern day lexicon.
Yeah, and man, I tell you, the opening to Casino Royale, like that,
still
like the first, like the opening sequence that's in black and white. I love that, and then the opening chase scene.
Yeah, the opening chase scene in Africa. Oh my gosh!
I was like, give me more of this.
Well,
I want more of this.
It showed that Bond was at a disadvantage and he had to improvise.
Yeah.
That's just like whenever the guy's like hopping up and down the building and Bond's like way behind, he sees that there's a lift there and he just knocks the hydraulics loose.
Yeah.
And it falls down. And that's what he has to do. He has to improvise to keep up with them.
And it shows
beautiful. Yeah, it shows the kind of character that Bond is.
And it was that whole chase was just brutal.
Yeah,
man.
It was.
Okay, we're doing it again.
Yeah, we are.
We're getting okay.
So
all right. Make your preliminary pick.
Who I think will have the best ammunition? I will say James Bond. I'm going to pick him to win this. Not because I don't think. Well, okay. Austin Powers is good in small doses, but to me, Bond films for me, Bond films are there's some Bond films I could just watch over and over and over again. Case in point, Goldfinger. I could watch it over and over again.
Goldfinger's pretty good.
Dr. No. Well, the first 3 Bond films with Sean Connery are just tremendous.
Yeah.
And then some of the Roger Moore films are also really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Living Daylights, or not the Living Daylights, but on Her Majesty's Service.
Her Majesty's Secret Service. Yeah.
The one with George Lazenby.
Yeah.
Timothy Dalton. I like License to Kill. To Kill. And then Pierce Brosnan. GoldenEye is probably the only one out of all those that I really find to be good. below that, I really didn't like any of the other ones that Pierce Brosnan did. And then the Daniel Craig ones came out, and in ranking those, Quantum of Solace is number one, or not Quantum of Solace.
Whoa! I was like, whoa! We're gonna have a fight now.
Casino Royale. Sorry.
Yeah, Casino Royale's top notch.
Casino Royale is probably my favorite because the reboot and plus the chemistry between Daniel Craig and Eva Green as Bond and Vesper Lynd was what made that film so wonderful.
Not to mention, you got to see the very beginning of Bond.
Yeah.
Sort of what sent him down the road of, one-liners over implied sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just so much. There's so many more Bond films. A lot of them are really good.
Yeah.
And the Austin Powers films, though they did get better with time, I'd say the first one. The first one I've watched the most. Mm-hmm. I watched it a lot when it first was released on.
Because it was huge.
It was huge when it was released on DVD. It wasn't that big when it was in theaters, but when people watched it on at home on DVD,
and they were like,
VHS, they were like, wow, this is really funny.
Yeah.
And then they went and watched the second one, and the second one made 4 times the amount.
Yeah, because it sort of became a cult classic.
Yeah,
in some ways.
And then the third one, Goldmember, which I thought was actually really funny as well. Each of them has their funny moments, and I'm anticipating goofball versus suave.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm expecting to get. How about you? What do you? Picking?
I think we've summed it up pretty well. I expect there'll be some real zingers from Austin Powers.
Yeah,
but for consistently good lines, I'm expecting James Bond to win this one.
Okay.
Because I think it's really going to be a quality type deal. Austin Powers will have some good lines, but he won't be on point as much as James Bond will. I think that's the way it's going to go.
All right, sounds good. Well, we got it queued up here.
Let's do this.
Give it a watch.
Oh, that's a good opening.
Sheath and no and Blofeld with a cheek scar, but they were not as crooked and rotten as your teeth are. I'll go balls to the wall for on this whack twat in an ascot. Blast shots at you like gas from the back slot of the fat Scot. I'm to put a scoundrel down, I've earned it. I'm licensed to kill. You couldn't get a learner's permit. 24 films, I'm still reaching new heights.
Yep.
Your third
That's
movie
good.
died. Guess you only lived twice. My name, ladies wanna be on D. Any sex appeal you might have is beyond me. I'm bespoke from my head to my toe, and after this flow, I'm done. I only need one round. Golden gun.
More blonde in your movie, baby. That's alright, let's just keep it groovy, baby. Mental exposition told me this will be boring, but Jesus, man, even my mojo's snoring. I've never seen such a miserable spy. I've also never seen a man with glistening thighs. I mean, you can't shag properly with that wax cuz. Birds flock to the musk of my chest buzz. Yeah. I hypnotize you with a little strip tease and then judo jump. Swinging on you like the 60s. Yeah. Defenseless, my rap can be deflected. You like all the sex I've ever had, I'm protected. Yeah. I'm a hero with a little personality. No one wants to sit through your gritty reality. Maybe Q can craft some new plot line. You made Thunderbolt 2 bloody times. I'm one of a kind. You're always getting remade. You can't touch me, double OB. Hey.
I can't believe I'm wasting my time with this clown. I should be on an island with a fucking model by now. Bikinis and peeling off bikinis, not rapping against Swedish penis pumping weenies. It's finished. I'm sick of your silly gimmicks. I'm the best spy in the business. Just ask all the critics. And I've been through hell, so yeah, I'm a bit of a cynic, but I'm the original model that your free ass mimics.
I wouldn't exactly call you original. It's the most prominent pay homage, handing out ass whippings. I'm on some real James Bond. Performance doesn't scare me, and I'm certainly not shaken. I wanted shitty acting in my action film. I'd go and watch Taken. I see modern gadgets and I piss on them all. I don't need a cue to break your balls. I'm the granddad of the brand millions of fans have been sold on. You're so far up on my nuts, I should call you Bond. Gold Bond.
Yeah, get back in my rap, please.
Rap these, you velvety hat.
It's the movie business and you've had your six. Has had quite enough rug-wearing misogynists. Yeah,
to be honest, you're a bit rapey. I mean, I like to swing, but Dr. No means no, baby.
Oh!
I'm an extraordinary gentleman, undistinguished. They made a mini-me that have to cast Peter Dinklage.
Maybe they should cast a Bond who's actually English.
Ouch.
Why, pussy, aren't you the cunning linguist?
I've got a knack for licking old cunts. After I beat you, I'll kick the shit out of the man who does your stunts.
Listen here, you little bitch. I'm all in. I'm ready to die any day that you want.
And Austin Powers just like, I don't know what happened. That.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Holy shiznit, dude. Really?
Okay. I was wondering if this would happen.
Oh, if the different
I was sort of like, are they going to bring in a second Bond? Because they did that with a very similar type of series, Doc Lloyd versus Doctor Who. Or Doc Brown versus Doctor Who.
Oh, that's right.
Lloyd.
That's right. They brought in
brain not work good sometimes.
They brought in a different doctor.
Yeah, they brought in a second Doctor.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's like, who else do you bring in? You
bring in the OG.
Yeah, you bring in the original.
The original movie Bond.
Yeah,
with
Sean
Connery.
effing Connery.
Sean Connery.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, there was no way that Austin Powers was going to pull this off.
No, I get that now.
So it ended up being a battle of the Bonds.
This is true, and I was wondering if they were going, because Austin Powers has always been a parody of spy movies.
Yes, very much so.
That's all he's been, and the one he parodies the most, James Bond.
Of course, yeah.
He has to parody. He parodies.
I mean,
James Bond.
that's kind of the big one.
And and it's just like how Micah always pointed out, in terms of like George R.R. Martin versus J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, it's like, George R.R. Martin is playing in the sandbox that J.R.R. Tolkien built.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when someone is a parody of someone, it's kind of hard.
It's kind of hard for them to beat the original.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
because
they would have to have a personality that strikes out on its own independently, which Austin Powers kind of does,
but not enough to make it work.
But not enough to escape the shadow of Ian Fleming's James Bond.
Yeah.
And then when they started saying, "Oh, I'm the original," and then here comes Sean Connery out of nowhere,
and it's just like,
it's like, hey,
oh no.
A wild Scottish Sean Connery appears.
Fight item or run, dude. Fight item or run.
Yeah.
But
Sean Connery is here to stay.
Honestly, so I guess we now have to revise our picks.
Okay.
James Bond won, but which one?
Okay.
I personally, yeah, Austin Powers did not win that one, but which Bond won? And I'm interested to see what your answer is, because I have mine and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Okay. Damn. It's not easy.
No, it's really not.
Okay. Let me see here.
Because the weird thing is, in that profile, he doesn't look like Sean Connery. He looks like Pierce Brosnan in profile.
He kind of does, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few here where he does look like, from a distance does look like Sean Connery.
Yep.
Let's see.
In the background where he's his own backup dancer. Yeah. Those.
Yeah.
That really looks like him.
Yeah.
But.
And Lloyd pulls it like right
He's
there.
got the moves.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Lloyd pulled
He's
it
got
off.
the mannerisms.
Lloyd pulled it off really well. He pulled off the accent while rapping really good too.
Yes.
And
that is not an easy thing to do.
No, it takes a lot of practice to get not only get the accent like running good, but then
to be able to perform in that accent.
Yeah, to perform a rap in that accent. And okay, so the lines that Sean Connery that Bond Connery.
Yep. Old Bond versus new Bond, I think we'll go with.
Old versus new.
Yeah.
I think, well, okay. in terms of how much time he had, I'd say Sean Connery's Bond did good, but I gotta say Daniel Craig's Bond.
Oh, thank you. I thought I was gonna have to. Whoa.
Daniel Craig's Bond had more time. He also had a few good burns. Like Bond, the line about Bond being British. Okay, here's a kicker to me. Why can't James Bond be portrayed by an American? And I know a lot of people out there are going to say it's blasphemy. It's blasphemy. I'm like, okay, Batman, Superman, and Daredevil are all portrayed by Englishmen. Why the hell not?
I mean, I don't know. It's
double standards, dude, and I'm sick of them because I saw a screen test. James Brolin
really
was in the running to take over after Roger Moore left.
Wow. All right.
I
okay.
saw the screen test, and he actually did really good.
All right. I can see that.
There were two screen tests. There was the romancing screen test where
it makes sense.
Yeah, and they just did an old read from one of the older Bond films,
mm-hmm.
and then there's the action screen test.
Those are the two. Yeah.
And the action screen test, he killed it 100%. And I thought he was going to fumble up in the romantic one, but no, he held the accent really good as well. And I was just like, wow.
All right.
Because who else they pulled in to try and take over?
Oh no,
Sam Neill.
Really?
Dr. Alan Grant himself.
Huh.
And I was just like, because I saw his screen test as well, and I'm like, I don't feel it as much.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, because his facial expressions were not matching of what Bond would do.
Yeah,
Bond is it's little tells with him.
Yeah.
He has this armor on, and it's the little tells that causes his character to show the little cracks in his armor.
Very controlled character,
yeah,
so the little glimpses you get are huge. Yeah.
Yes, and
well,
go ahead.
So, Daniel Craig Bond got in a lot of really good lines, I thought, but then he got in more jabs on old Bond than old Bond got in on
I can
new
see.
Bond.
Yeah, I see that as well. Yeah.
And there was a very interesting combo line between Daniel Craig Bond and Austin Powers, where it's like,
oh yeah, that one right there.
Yeah. No means no, and I'm like, yeah, you're really not wrong, because if you go back and watch some of the old Bond movies, it's like, this is a little skeezy here. I don't like this.
It's how things have changed over time.
Yeah,
and it's just like the first Rocky movie. When I saw the first Rocky movie, and how he quote unquote romanced Adrian,
mm-hmm.
I was just like, that's a little bit forceful.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like an Italian thing or if it's and it's like, okay, they're getting into
Anyway, but overall, the fact that, we can pretty much take Austin Powers out of the equation.
Yeah, Austin Powers. All due respect to
he tried his
Peter.
best.
Yeah, for what he had,
tried his best,
really
but he really didn't have a shot at this.
No.
But for old Bond versus new Bond, I think new Bond got in more jabs at old Bond than old Bond got in on the new. And yeah, they got in a lot of really good lines with him, though. Like extraordinary gentleman.
If they made a mini-me, they'd have to
Peter
cast
Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, or maybe they should catch your Bond
British.
who's actually English, Sean Connery's actually Scottish.
Yep.
But, James Bond is actually a British agent.
Yes.
And Britain includes Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and England.
Yeah, I don't actually remember all of the lore exactly on where Bond came from. So and I know there are trickier.
people, and we may read more into it and find out. But
yeah.
In terms of it, Bond is a British agent.
Well,
and whether or not. Okay.
Yeah, but
because if that can be taken as a jab, then
I don't know that's not necessarily the best jab here.
That's your
the man who does your stunts.
Well,
yes,
that's true because Sean Connery was very limited in his films when he wasn't allowed to do the stunts.
Yeah.
Whereas Daniel Craig is there it's the high performance ones that where there's a lot of danger.
Yeah.
Where they prevent him from doing it. They say you're too high valued. We can't allow this.
Yeah, but most of the other ones, it's like, all right, go for it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really think that yeah, and then at the very end, Austin Powers is going, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
I'm just gonna stand here and just be like,
and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, but
yeah. And I know people are going to dislike the fact that we did not have Connery's Bond winning, but guys, this is our opinion. I mean, this is just based upon what we've seen and how we.
I mean, this is purely on the rap battle.
Yes.
And rap battle wise, yeah, I think New Bond won.
New Bond won. So you got to give it up.
That being said, when you rank your Bonds, I have no problem with people saying, number 0, very top tier, doesn't really have a horse in this race, Sean Connery.
Oh, not
and
at
then
all.
ranking the rest.
Yeah,
I have no problem.
I
with
have
that.
no problem with that at all because that's how people will do it.
Yeah, and I think that's a more fair system.
It's just like the ranking system of Batman. I know there's some people out there who, to them, Adam West is their 0. I know some people out there who are like that.
I can respect that opinion to a certain extent because Adam West is the one that brought Batman out of the comics and into television and movies.
Yeah, and
it's like, okay, I can respect that position.
Yeah, I can as well.
That's fair.
And if people want to rank it that way, that's all well and good.
Yeah.
And for me, I rank the Bonds based upon how much I enjoyed their films and whom I felt there's a lot of things that factor into it.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors.
Number one, the portrayal of Bond being, pretty much being this almost soulless killing machine. That he's this fractured and damaged man dressed up as a soulless killing machine.
Yeah,
that's what he is, and they do better portraying that in the newer films.
Very much so.
Because
well, here I can sum that all up. When Bond gets hurt in the newer films, he doesn't heal the next scene.
Yeah, that's true.
He stays hurt.
Well, it's just like in Skyfall where he got shot with that fracturing bullet.
Yeah,
and he was digging digging the shrapnel out of his shoulder, and he couldn't shoot straight. He couldn't shoot straight. He couldn't perform as
Skyfall is the best example of that because it's like this is Bond when he's down.
Yeah, but
oh
gosh, Skyfall.
Oh, Skyfall was really good.
Yeah, to me, it's probably my second favorite Daniel Craig Bond film. Well, actually, okay, it is my second favorite. Ranking them right now, I will put them Quantum.
No,
or not. I did it again. I'm sorry.
Quantum of Solace is not at anybody's top of the list. I'll fight you.
Quantum is actually third.
Fourth.
So, no.
Really?
Okay, so here's my thing. Number 1, Casino Royale. Number 2, Skyfall. Number 3, Quantum. Number 4, dang it.
Spectre.
Thank you, Spectre. And my key point for that is the Bond villain that they actually had, played by Matthew Almeric, Dominic Green was his name. I actually I know this is going to sound blasphemous, but I found him more interesting than I did Blofeld. And it's no fault of the actor. Christoph Waltz did the best he could with what he had.
With the writing, yeah. And for the writing, he did an excellent job.
Yes,
but
I'll
give you that. A lot of the
nature.
Yeah.
And the Bond villain is one of the pinnacles. Of a Bond film.
And here's the thing. they did the campiness just right in Skyfall.
Yes, they did.
You know, well, go on. Eject me.
Yes.
You know, it's just like, why does he have a car with an eject? Like, okay, all right, that's a good level of campy. And then Spectre took it way, way up there. I still like Spectre better than I like Quantum of Solace.
That's and that's your opinion to hold, man.
Yeah, and I like, we're not going to come to blows over this.
No, well, another
right
thing
now.
I like Quantum 4 over Skyfall or over Spectre is Bond, because there is no happy ending for Bond.
Yeah, that's
Quantum.
fair. Bond is still reeling from the ending of Casino Royale, and so we're still seeing character develop. All right, okay.
And he never really he receives closure on Vesper, but at the same time, think about this: Camille Montez, the Bond girl that was with him at the end, who survived the ending scene.
Yeah,
she, her and Bond don't get together. I mean, that's one of the
Bond is still hurting.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, which
but he gets with Agent Strawberry Fields, that's a campy name.
Yeah, it really is.
Agent Fields, played by Gemma Arterton.